And so you said you get to the end of that enlistment and you had just gone to school and you just worked in that job of being an engineer, right? But you didn't get deployed or anything other than obviously going to Okinawa, but that's not really a deployment. You didn't get deployed or anything like that because nothing was really going on back in the late 80s.
Nothing was going on. So we did a lot of training. And that kind of got old, in and out of the field numerous times, 29 palms in the desert, a lot of training. What I did find, again, is the love of football came back. So our unit had a team. Come to find out there's an all-Marine team that you can make. So I really got back in shape, started playing football. Made the team, the all-Marine team was coming up, made that. Coincidentally, my EAS was around the same time as the all-Marine football team. This team was going to play some local colleges and then go to the East Coast, play the all-Marine team, go to Okinawa, play the all-Marine team. So I was in the mix.
Oh, that's cool.
It was very cool. It was very cool. Practice twice a day. Still had to, be in uniform, go to formations, but football was number one back then. The battalion commanders and sergeant majors that's what it was all about.
You make the base look good. You make your unit look good.
It.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. So a little leeway on chow hall, and I got a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
But again, strangely enough, that game, that big game that was, the highlight of my career was after my EAS. It was like, what do I do? Do I get out? Or do I re-enlist just to play football?
Right.
My wife would tell you how crazy I was to think I would re-enlist just to play football. Everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
God definitely was watching over us at the time. I wasn't ready to get out with a wife and a child. I had nothing lined up, no degree, barely graduated high school. So we didn't know what we were going to do. Try to re-enlist. However, my MOS was closed. So they said, sorry, buddy, you got to change your MOS. You can go be a truck driver, supply, cook. A couple of jobs I did not want to do. I tried to get back in the infantry.
Sure.
I could not.
That's weird. You couldn't get back in the infantry. Usually that's...
They had like 2 spots available. If not, I said, well, what do I do? They're like, well, I'm sorry, you're going to have to find a job, get out. So I did. I started looking for jobs outside the Marine Corps. I did construction kind of growing up with my brother. So I knew a little bit about that. Even when the monitors and the recruiters came to Camp Pendleton, I went right to the office. I'm like, look, all I want to do is be a Marine.
Right.
Like, sorry, can't help you unless you want to change MOSs, change jobs. But coincidentally, August 3rd was the same time Iraq was invaded. Desert Storm.
Right.
Or Desert Shield at the time.
Yeah.
That happened right around that same time. So I had they allowed me to extend 30 days to wait for an opening in an MOS. During that extension, that 30 days, I'm kind of on borrowed time. That's when the invasion happened. They said, look, we can extend you again because of wartime situation.
Right.
We're like, let's do it. That'll give me 11 months. They can only do it for 11 months, but that'll give me time to play in the all-Marine football team. Still football was on my mind.
Sure, yeah.
But August 3rd was the invasion. By August 7th, bags were packed. We were going to Saudi Arabia. So a roundabout way, again, we truly believe everything happened for a reason. That kept me in the Marine Corps, which, ultimately was the best decision for me.
Did you get to go do infantry, or did you go as an engineer?
So I went as an engineer. So
Okay.
I couldn't switch MOSs, but they just extended my current contract.
Oh, okay.
So I was still an engineer, deployed with the engineer battalion to Desert Storm. We got there. We were one of the first ones to get there. So there was nothing. Engineers build bunkers and fill sandbags. And so we were prepping. The battlefield turned out to be, we prepped it before anything happened. And that was a challenge. That was a challenge, again, before technology. So my first phone call home was on a Green Gear sat phone, that you had to say over every time you were done talking. And, my wife answered and we were talking over each other, could barely hear it. Just hearing her voice, was enough to in place.
Yeah.
mail. We relied on snail mail, which, took about a month.
Yeah, but those letters are great though, man. Those letters are super cool. I mean, you smell perfume and it's like, and they don't even spray it on there, but that's what you're smelling or whatever the case is, Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. And I still have them all, kept every one of them.
That's cool. That's very cool. So you're there, you're over in Saudi Arabia, packing sandbags, setting it up. How long were you there?
Just about 10 months, about 9.5 months. Very, very, I don't want to say nerve-wracking, but again, we had no idea. I personally didn't have any idea of war and combat and, combat patrols and what it meant. Being an engineer, you remember Saudi Arabia was littered and Iraq was littered with mines.
Yeah.
Anti-personnel, anti-tank. They had a 30 mile, 100-mile strip of just mines.
Right.
Being an engineer, that's the other side of being an engineer is minefields. So we spent months and months probing for mines, creating lanes, blowing mines up in place. Anytime we got near. So over the course of those 9 months, we were just moving closer and closer to the border. And as we did, that's when we started receiving fire, mortar fire, sporadic enemy fire. They attached us to a tank battalion, and we just again got as close as we could before we got to the minefields, and we had to blow lanes for the infantry to go through. So those were some hairy situations.
And that was the Iraqi army?
That was the Iraqi army.
Okay.
They were just on the other side. The minefield wasn't more than 50 meters deep.
Right.
So we could see them. We could see the bunkers exchanging fire back and forth. That is, a test that you just don't know the answer to. What are you going to do when you're shot at? I trained for 4 years for that day, and I think I'm a tough dude. Very, very confident, but I still did. In the back of my mind, I didn't know how I would react the first time somebody was trying to shoot at me. It turned out I wasn't scared. I remember my dad telling me before I left. He said, "You can be nervous, and you can even be a little scared, but just never be afraid." And at the time, I didn't know the difference. You know what I mean?
Sure.
What's the difference between scared and afraid? But I felt it that day. First time our Humvee got hit with some small arms fire, and I wasn't afraid. I was more angry, to be honest with you. I wanted to get that guy who was trying to take me out, take me away from my family.
Right.
I turned that into, all right, I got to be more vigilant. I got to be more careful, but I also have to be a hell of a lot more aggressive.
There you go.
I have to take him out before he takes me or my guys out.
Mm-hmm. And were you able to, well, I mean, there's stories of the Iraqi army meeting Marines or whatever and acting tough, throwing that first shot. And then once they get a little pushback, they give up or they get scared or whatever the case was. I'm assuming they weren't major battles because those guys, from what I understand, were cowards to the core.
100%. So once those small skirmishes and the small amount of mortar fire that we did receive lasted a few minutes. Mm-hmm. Once they saw our firepower and the Cobras in the sky, just lighting up bunkers and clearing out the area, that is when they came out of their fighting holes in their bunkers. Some of them butt naked, but some had their burqas on, but no weapons, hands up. So we'd clear a lane in the minefield, not even proof it yet. It wasn't even for sure secure. They would start pouring through, hands up, surrendering. So that became an issue, is gathering all those up. What was, again, now we had hundreds and hundreds, and I don't even know, thousands that we had to secure them. We had to watch them. There's always a rogue one here and there, which would try and go after somebody. But
right. Once they saw, they thought they had a weak spot. Oh, we're going to go after that weak spot. And then all of a sudden, that weak spot turned out to be not so much.